Dr. Umar calls out these celebrities.
Dr. King did not die for Kamala Harris to become president. Stop the cap up. Voting is not supposed to be a symbol. Voting is supposed to be a transaction, a power transaction. You want my vote? We want your resources. P. Smiley and Steve Harvey want to go hard for Kamala Harris. They have a right to do that. What they don't have a right to do is shame other Africans into voting for her. They cannot do that. They were wrong for that.
I actually agree with Dr. Umar on this. Less pandering, more policies. I think a candidate should have to work for my vote. It shouldn't be based on someone's color or someone's race. This is what I suggest, right? So if you want to go after a candidate, I think you should put candidate A's policies over here, candidate B's policies over here, and just erase their names. Just compare policies. I think a lot of people just get too involved in just the dirty side of politics, where people are looking at things that just ultimately don't matter compared to the policy.
I like that, what you said about just taking away the names. Policy A, policy B. Matter of fact, crinkle up the paper, throw it in the bucket, mix it around, pull it back out so you don't even remember whose is whose. Have someone else write it down for you, actually. And that way you can objectively see who better aligns with what you want, and therefore you then trade your vote for their policies. Umar was on fire, and he said voting is a transaction. And before he said it, I didn't even think about it in that way. He said voting is a transaction, and he said his vote or our vote in exchange for resources. And it's so true. So in the spirit of Mr. Three-Pete himself, because he says everything at least 3 times, I'll say it 3 times. Substance, not symbols. Substance, not symbols. Substance, not symbols. He said we need substance, not the symbolism of, I don't remember who's which, but AKA or Delta handing either AKA or maybe not AKA. Ricky Smiley was pretty much talking about all symbolism. And Umar saying, that's nice. It feels good. Shout out to all those fraternities and sororities, but it has to be about more than that.
Well, Ricky Smiley was doing more shaming than he was talking about more symbols.
I don't care what and I'm talking to the men right here. Your mother is a black woman. Don't forget that. Don't forget that your sister is a black woman. And as a black man, I stand proudly with Kamala Harris this morning with tears in my eyes.
Because that's all he was doing was shaming. Oh, if you don't want to vote for this person, what would your mama say and all this other kind of stuff? And I'm like, that's not how you get my vote. Like, if you want, listen, I'm not against Kamala Harris. I'm not against Donald Trump. But if you want me to vote for someone, why don't you say, you need to vote for Kamala Harris? You know why you need to vote for her? Because you have this policy. This policy is great. This is how this policy is going to affect your life. Then I'd say, okay, you know what? I'll think about it. And then if you compared her policy to Donald Trump's policy and said, this is why it's better, I'd say, okay, but instead it's a whole lot of shaming. It's a whole lot of fear mongering, which is like, oh, I heard this, and where'd you hear it from? Oh, I heard this from CNN. And then you hear the other side. Same thing on the Republican side. Oh, I heard this. Where'd you hear it from? Fox News. So you hear it from 2 of the most biased sources you could possibly hear it from.
Listen, he was appealing to emotion, and that works for some people. So some people are going to buy into that emotion, that fear-mongering he was peddling. And some of it wasn't even fear-mongering. Some of it was like, this will be a momentous, historic event to see these 2 black people, whoever he was saying, do whatever it is that he said they were going to do. I really can't remember. So that's all about to make you feel good and make you go, oh, wow, I could be behind something that's really historic. I should go vote for Kamala because of that reason. And then you ignore the policy. So he was just appealing to emotion on both sides. And you have to like push that emotion to the side, like you said, and just be logical about it.
Yeah, I mean,
a lot of people aren't going to do that.
Yeah. I mean, he's appealing to fear.
I agree with you, but it wasn't just like when he was saying, I wish I could remember. He said like he was talking about the inauguration is going to occur on the anniversary, I think Dr. King something. And someone who's handing off something to whoever will be sworn in.
That goes to something on top of something.
Who wants to be Kamala is going to be historic. And so for that reason, we should vote to make that historic moment happen. That's an appeal to emotion, not fear, but feel good, whatever. There's also fear in there too. But the point is, it's all emotion. He said nothing about policy. Oh, he even said something that was personal. vote for Kamala. Well, he didn't really say it directly, but he's saying that part of the reason he wants to vote for Kamala is because she called him whenever I think
his son died.
His son passed. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
But while that's a beautiful thing,
that's anecdotal.
Shout out to her for doing that.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, but we can't vote for her because of her doing that.
Yeah.
So I'm saying like he was all emotion.
One thing I can truly say about this election, this has been one of the most divisive elections I've seen. I think among black people, this has been the most divisive. Because any other time, let's just be completely honest, most black people just vote for the Democratic Party. Do you have some the outliers that vote for the Republican Party? Absolutely. But for the most part, most likely the Democratic Party. This election, though, I feel like we have three groups of people. You have the people who absolutely hate Trump and will vote for anybody except Trump. You have the people who are voting for Kamala Harris because she's a black woman, and that's the main reason. And then you have the third party, which seem to be some of the men from the black community that just want to try anything new. So those are the people that are willing to vote for Trump just because at this part they've lost all hope in the Democratic Party. That's what I've seen so far. Can there be more groups? Absolutely, but just from my observation, this is where I see within the black people voting this year. All right, guys, but this has been bad decisions. I think Dr. Umar made a good decision. I think this was actually a good take. Normally, because of Dr. Umar, he's very divisive, and there's a lot of takes I do not agree with Dr. Umar. He is a very knowledgeable person, but it just depends on the subject. There are some things that he said, I'm like, I don't know if that's true. But when it comes to this, I think he's definitely right. Politicians should work for your vote.
Yeah, I mean, Umar is extreme. Umar is all the way extreme. So a lot of things he says, I like Umar. A lot of times I just find him to be comedy. He's just funny. But in this very specific scenario, I do think he was on fire. He made some good points. And so good decision. Shout out to Umar on this one. For sure.
All right, guys. So if you thought Dr. Umar made a good decision, leave a like, leave a comment. If you thought Dr. Umar is wrong and Ricky Smiley's right and Steve Harvey is right, my voice cracked, and you think Steve Harvey is right, leave a like, leave a comment.
He said Steve Harvey, he's been voting Democrat for 93 years.
Voting Democrat for 93 years, Steve Harvey.